Good day to you. This is Shari with another live YouTube video of just my opinion. I'm turning up my laptop volume here. You're probably going to have some resident echo, sound of a washer and dryer going on in the background. If you cannot hear me at any time during this live, just send me a message here in the chat and just say, hey, can you turn the volume up? Can you turn the volume down? Please stop farting. Whatever the comment is. I really appreciate it. I do appreciate the people who are my subscribers. I appreciate the people who smash the like button. And I do appreciate the people who share my videos because I don't have, might take me 10 years to get enough public watch time and subscribers in order to go live from my phone, which is my goal. It might take 10 years, which is okay. But while I'm stuck here on the computer, tethered to the wall, I like to make sure it's a good experience for you. And I want to make sure you can hear every nauseating thing that I say. Oh, nauseating. It's so hot today. It's crazy hot. And it's not even lunch. Good gravy. I got to work on this. Free-flowing hostility. Love that the George Carlin for his Pythians. Just kind of basically not really improvisational rant, but kind of aiming from the cuff, as it were. Just random topics, and that's what this is today. It's a random show today. If you have not subscribed to my audio podcast, don't worry, you're not missing out on much. I have been paying for that service for a couple months now with no uploads, and that will soon change as soon as I update my studio. Random thoughts. Those weren't the random thoughts. These are the random thoughts. Random thoughts. Went through the process recently to... It's amazing. It almost makes me wonder if there's something in driver's license or the real ID that where we don't even need cell phones. It's like there's like a little maybe, I don't know. I'm not the one who puts them together. If that's how, I'm like, well, this ID microchip went off grid over here, so we'll check between these three towers for that person. Wouldn't that be awesome if that was the way? I bet, you know what? That's probably one way to get people to get either a driver's license or an ID is if we suddenly knew that there was a tracking device in our ID, we would be not only not forgetting our driver's license and our ID when we go places like to pick up, I don't know, alcohol or pay with a check or operate a motor vehicle or any really vehicle of most vehicles that have their license to the state. You have to have that ID to operate it. And I don't know about farm equipment, not big on, I'm not in the know of that, but maybe I can find out for you guys. Anyway, all the places that you need ID, and granted, people still complain that they need the real ID to get on a plane. As soon as that became an available option, I ran out, got all of my documents, birth certificate, water bill. I actually had to send away for the birth certificate because to get the real ID, it can't be the cutesy one that your parents have stuck in a safe for years. It has to be on special paper embossed with the state seal wherever you live. And it has, the border, if you've ever requested one, you know what I'm talking about. It's the official birth certificate. So birth certificate, utility bill, proof of residence. Make sure that you're not, some drifter grifter, getting IDs in different states. Gosh, what else did I have to bring? Oh, you have to bring your social security card. I mean, pretty much anything that you need to get a passport, they want you to present to get the real ID. And it was such a pain in the butt. Pain to do. I had to go back in a couple times and just like, once I had it, it was worth the effort. But trust me, the effort blows chunks. But now they know that I am a citizen. They know I have a residence, that place that I call home. I'm not just hopping from couch to couch. Yeah, all the places that you need ID. And just having a discussion with my boyfriend this morning about IDs and elections. Oh, I should have recorded it. Should have recorded it. I could have put it, I could have attached it to the end of this live. Yeah. Luckily, we both agree. Number one, you should have a state ID/driver's license identification number that is assigned to you. So it's like in addition to a social, your ID or driver's license or real ID has the same number and you keep it your whole life. Well, okay, I take that back. I don't know if you keep it if you move to another state. I haven't gone through that process, but yeah, it's a tracking number. Like I said, it'd just be awesome if we could just put all those tracking devices in our driver's license, like the real ID. Then I could turn off my cell phone and the GPS unit on my vehicle. Because why not? I got my ID. I take it everywhere. You need an ID to check into a motel, to get on a train. I think you have to get it to buy a bus ticket. It's been a while. It was last 2019 when I rode the Greyhound. I will never miss an early flight again. Miserable time. It was like riding around in a four-wheel porta potty. And yes, you know what I'm leading up to. And a real ID is basically federal access. And I've seen them where they have the state seal where, this is the real ID. And others, it's like, this is an ID or a driver's license, but limits may apply. And I don't think that's good enough in order to vote. I wholeheartedly believe it is important to have the real ID to vote. And why not? You have to use this stupid thing for everything else. It's funny, a lot of the I guess pharmacies, what you call them, retail stores with a pharmacy in the back, they require ID no matter how old you are. Granted, they don't require the real ID. They just require a valid ID or a passport. But then again, a passport asks for everything that you need to get a real ID. So if you're going to go with passport, why not just go with the real ID? And, and I can hear people saying, well, it's the government tracking us. Duh. We kind of give in a little bit to get a little bit. Of course, I always make sure what I'm getting is equal to what I've lost. Or at least I try. I really try. Doesn't always happen. So anyway, yeah, that kind of, and I'll come back around to it almost like a comedy bit. I will start out on one topic and I'll bounce around. And it's like, oh, and it relates to the first one. So that's a little bit of the free-flowing hostility here. This will probably get my channel taken down. But most women do not have a 6 to 10 inch clitoris. And yeah, I mean, I guess you could be like Gene Simmons and just have an added clitorises added. So when you unzipped your pants, it just goes thump. But yeah, if you've listened to my audio, if the audio, just my opinion, you can find it on most podcast streaming sites. I took it off of iHeartRadio. But So you're not going to find me there. I actually have a couple of episodes on this topic of who should and who should not have access to bathrooms and locker rooms and swimming pools. Yeah, I have a couple of episodes, and it's just my opinion with the same thumbnail that I use here on YouTube, the very oriental looking vase with the cherry blossoms coming out. Yeah, I put in my $1.75 on that one too. I'm going to here. The main point that I have with that is the contention that I have with that is imagine being a little girl in a locker room, whether it's school, at a spa, at a public swimming pool, and you happen upon a person who is still fully clothed, but you're like, that's not how they were born. And in no fault of that individual's, existence, no fault to them, this 10-year-old little girl has a flashback to when she was 4 and 5 and 6, when a family member or multiple family members used to tuck her in at night after her parents went to sleep. So when we talk about equality and equity and access, why aren't we talking about the harm that is being done to that 10-year-old girl? What about her feelings? What about her damage? What about her suddenly becoming agoraphobic, having chronic agoraphobia with episodic panic attacks? Where does her support come from? Who is her advocate? Because basically, it's all I'm hearing from the toilet vomitorium on social media. I know, I call it the public vomitorium, but that is also appropriate. The vomitorium where, well, we all need to be on equal footing, but they're not using the word equality. I still believe what I said in those 2 audio episodes. Like I said, you can find me. You can Google me. You go onto Google, type in my name, type in the podcast name, Just My Opinion. Make sure there's a comma after the word just. I have 2 episodes. One is splitting hers in sports, and the end of protection for women, I believe. Oh, I'm curious. I can't even keep track of my own stuff. It's awesome. But I go into a lot of detail with that in prisons. I mean, I started talking about this long before it came out in the news with what's happening in prisons becoming co-ed, and what's happening when a man with a penis identifies solely as a female, which that's great. When you're in prison, in the episode, I talk about how men will rape their own just for a simple transaction or debt or cigarette or rite of passage. And now you're expecting protection or certain obligatory protections for somebody who has a vagina in a prison full of penises. And it's like, oh, well, this person won't get raped. Really? Really? Bless your heart. So, yeah. The end of sex equality and protection and I have the female symbol. And the other one, like I said, is splitting his hers in sports. So you can look that up. Oops, keep myself presentable. I don't want to lose my channel. I haven't backed up any of my videos, so I'm at the will of the social media nethers. Yeah, no one really talks about women who are traumatized, and now you have to you shouldn't really be taking a nap in a spa anyway, to be honest. But when you wake up in a public place that is supposed to be, I talk about boundaries too. I talk about boundaries like, it's like rules are being wiped away. Boundaries are being wiped away. Guidelines are being wiped away. We've done everything except outlaw the word no when it comes to people saying, I want access to that. Why aren't there more people saying no? Why? There needs to be more people saying, you cannot have that. You cannot have that trophy. You cannot have this or that. Just because you can't eat ice cream and you're forced to eat sherbet doesn't mean that the whole class has to have sherbet now. Some people are going to be on the fringe and they're not going to be. It's just weird to me. This force. What's that word? I don't know if gentrification would be the right way to describe it, but I do believe that forcing people to join a club, not only do they not know about, they have no interest in being a member. Reminds me of Groucho Marx. It's a shortened quote, but the essence of the quote is basically, I don't want to be a member of any club. I don't want to be part of any club that would have me as a member. And people are being forced to enroll in things that, for whatever reasons, personal, religious, just because reasons, they don't want to be a member. They don't want to participate. Oh, well, that's too bad. That's tyranny. There's absolute tyranny. That is societal rape. You're going to take it anyway, all 8 inches of it. And after we've given you 8 inches, we're going to keep pounding more into you. That's where my mind goes. My mind is like, we're going to hold your wrists. We're going to lock your ankles so your body is spread eagle. We're not even going to bother to cover your mouth because we're not listening to your screams. We're not going to pay attention to you being against this. We want to hear your screams. We think it's funny that you're complaining. And the more you complain, the harder we're going to give it to you. Again, tell me how that is not societal rape. If you can come up with a good argument, either now while I'm doing the live or later on when you send me messages, or you can send your arguments to just.my.opinion.podcast2020@gmail.com. Send it to me there. Explain to me how it is okay. It reminds me of that Linda Blair movie where she was in a girls' group home, and a bunch of girls were picking on her, and they raped her with a toilet plunger. It's kind of like how this is going. This is the road we're traveling down, folks. And the funny thing about cancel culture, using that as an example, the thing about cancel culture is each one of those girls in the scene that was holding down Linda Blair would eventually get the plunger herself. Don't think it's not coming for you. It's told you it's going to be random, free, floating hostility. I don't know. How about we have rules for everybody that apply in every circumstance? That for what is not good for the goose, is not good for the gander. How about that? That's the equality that we need. We need a justice system that is blind. And, you can go off on all that, deep rooted, whatever. A justice system that is blind and enforced. Because what's the point of arresting somebody when the judge is like, yeah, let him go, whatever. I'm late for dinner. Let him go. We need a justice system with consequences that are enforced, because we are so shackling the police right now. We're so shackling the police. And I've read articles, I've read books, remember books, the analog Kindles, back when the only thing people kept in their house were novels and the Encyclopedia Britannica. That's what I read as a child. When I went through that, I opened up the dictionary. When I got through that, I opened up the thesaurus. And in between all of those, I was reading the Bible. And yeah, the Bible deals a lot with authority, the head of everything, the overseer of everything, see all, knows all. And when you get God out of the home, when you take God, or Shiva, or whoever Yahweh, Jehovah, whoever you believe in, that is the ultimate authority. And when you take first the authority out of the home, which traditionally has been a father, but you need a manager takes care of everything else. There's a hierarchy. There needs to be a hierarchy in the home. I told my boyfriend that someone breaks in, my very, very at night cold feet are going to be in the middle of his back to squirt him out of the sheets. And I go, check it out. I'll find a choke point and wait for the all clear. Yeah. That's another thing. That's another thing. We were getting new phones yesterday, and the conversation somehow talked about holding doors open for women. And I'm like, yeah, I like it when people hold doors open for me. I'll hold doors open for others. It's mostly my elders. And I just kind of don't make a big deal out of it unless, they make a big deal out of it. And I just say something silly like, well, I believe even a woman can be a gentleman once in a while, meaning you can show kindness. Why is it all up to men? And when men hold the door open for me, I don't go, eh. I'm like, well, thank you. Spread a little kindness in the world. Women should not be afraid to be soft. We'll live longer. That's why we live longer, is because you let the men take all the stress. I would love it if society got back to the point where we only needed the man's income. How awesome would that be? That would be great. Get rid of the inflation that we have, lower the cost of living. Awesome. I mean, I would love to sit down in front of the TV watching, streaming, kiss my boyfriend on the cheek, husband on the cheek, said, here's your suitcase, here's your hat, here's your lunch, I guess, whatever people used to brown bag lunch. And, bye, honey. And as he's driving down the street, I'm in my head, I'm going, go out and make my money, ho. I would love for us to get back to that. The woman can stay home and just play pretty princess and decorate the house any way she wants and spends the money that he puts, spend the money at the job that puts sweat on his balls. That's utopia for me. That is such, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. Man, women in the 50s. Yeah, they got the crap beat out of themselves. That's because they weren't armed in the home or trained to be defenders against their husbands, because, yeah, But yeah, to be able to pimp out your husband or boyfriend. I want to see that paycheck before you cash it. That would be great. And then I could work on Pilates, get a treadmill, get my body in shape instead of feeling like a question mark all the time. And yeah, heaven. Back to the Bible. But heaven is better than where we are now. Because in heaven, even though we've crawled through a mile of crap and been beaten, abused, used, screamed at, unappreciated, heaven is the place where we can just kick back, put up our feet, drink that cool glass of whatever, and say, okay, I made it. Isn't that the goal of living a crappy life? I like that idea. I like the fact that it is not just this toilet that we're condemned to live on for 100 years per lifetime. And our spirits going back to the essence of the universe, that we become one with the stars again. That's also beautiful, because who says that's not where God is? We won't know, will we, until we know. And I like the idea that there is an authority over earthly authority, people who think that they're above the laws that they break. And it's to steal a line from The Handmaid's Tale, under his eye, meaning God. So like even in the deepest, darkest corners of meetings and star chambers, that God sees all. And he's the ultimate surveillance. And his hard drive never gets erased, never crashes, and everything is stored in the cloud. I like that. Yeah, it's just really. Yes, I know I'm still in my robe. Still in my robe. I mean, if it weren't for community guidelines, I probably wouldn't be in my robe to do this. But again, I haven't saved like an idiot my videos. So I have to dance to their tune. You know, we all have to give up a little bit to get a little bit. I just don't like the idea of being the one to hand over the totality of my paycheck and then someone saying, well, we'll give it out to you as I see fit. I'm not your sister wife, okay? And you are not my pimp. You do not get to decide my needs. I know what my needs are. I can communicate and I can deliver my needs better than any other human being on this planet. I've had to. And I don't want somebody to say, oh, just let me take care of it. It's going to be all right. Just listen to the calming sound of my voice. It's going to be okay. Yeah. How'd that work out in Guyana? So the only authority I give over to is God. You're wondering where I am, aren't you? Well, I am no longer where I was, and I'm no longer where I have been. I'm finally where I should have been all along. That's all I'm going to say. And even though this episode is about free-flowing, I wrote free-flowing hostility. I meant free-floating hostility. At least George Carlin's family can't sue me. Maybe. He was a great. I'm finally in a place where I can play my records. I am finally in a place where I can sit naked on the furniture. And I am finally in a place where I'm okay to die. Oh, it's not quite heaven. Neither is it anywhere near hell. And who knows? Maybe it can become a utopia. We'll just have to wait and see. Right now, it's just carrying around my baggage through this way station we call life here on Earth, and hoping that my train doesn't come to pick me up for a very, very long time. If you would like to contribute to the support of this channel, I have Cash App ID. In fact, I will put my Cash App ID in the chat. Did everything transfer over to my phone? Yes, maybe. Fingers crossed. Are you serious? Oh, I gotta log back in. I was gonna ask for a password. This sucks. Please enter the code, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's not good. Can I access it? There we go. Let's see if that's sent to an email. Aha. I will type in the Cash App account. Nope, that's not what I want to do. Copy. I'm almost there. That's what she said. And paste. And that just means I'm going to have to change my number in this. Great. Oops. I'm surprised I know that right already. Brand new number. Oh, man. It's me. See, this is where an ID uploaded to my account would work. My real ID, because to get the real ID, you have to have all this other proof. So yeah, that's another spot where the real ID would be great. And where's my information? So I will type it in right now into the chat. So you too can be a supporter of the program, and I will get back to making audio episodes. Excuse me. I will get back to making audio episodes. You can, like I said, you can find my audio episodes on all but one podcast streaming site. And I did say early on that what I talked about here on YouTube is also going to be on the audio cast. It's not going to happen anymore. So that's a wash. But again, if you want to be a supporter of the program, I appreciate the help at Cash App. I appreciate the subscribers. I appreciate people smashing the like button. And I appreciate every share. And it looks like got some issues. I might be frozen. Oh, there it is.